reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter, brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. And by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter. This is our annual MMO Reporter Predictions episode where we look back at our predictions for 2015 and look ahead to what we think is coming in 2016. I am joined by none other than the wonderful, the exceptional, the ever so pantful...
Oh, thank you. Oh, damn it.
Layanor. Hello, Layanor.
Oh, yeah, that's the respect I wanted all these years.
So you're admitting you have pants. I understand. And we've got Harry Hall.
Hey guys, nice to be here for this annual event.
Yay. And we've got everybody this year. Layanor was away last year. And of course, at MMO Bill. Hi, Bill.
Good day. Happy season.
That was Adorabill.
Adorabill, word of the year 2016.
We got to call the Oxford Dictionary here. All right, we got some stuff to talk about. It is always a jam-packed show. We are pre-recording this, so no one is listening live to the show. This gives us a chance to have a little bit of a break over the holidays, spend time with our families, and most importantly, spend time with all of you in games. So let's get going. I nominate Mr. Harry Hall as scorekeeper for this year's predictions recap. Do I hear a second?
I second that.
There we go. All right, it's decided. Harry, you're keeping score.
I'm actually getting some blue paper now and a pen.
Okay.
I want to do this official, and there's nothing that says official than blue paper with a pen.
There we go.
So I'm just
Awarded yourself 1 point for your officialness.
I'm actually giving myself 5 points for being so incredibly cool about it and not making. Okay, Chris and Bill
All right.
and Harry. Okay, I'm all set, guys.
It's been an amazingly exciting year of no excitement with excitement, isn't it?
It was a very unexciting year, and
It was.
It doesn't even excite me.
But the hype train rolled through. It just never really stopped to
Choo
drop its load.
choo, heart of thoughts, choo choo.
I didn't see any hype trains, to be honest. If I'm looking at the MMO year,
Whoa, hold on. Did you miss the Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns hype train? Because you were on the Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns hype train.
well, just stating as a fact that this was an amazing experience, and looking forward to this amazing experience isn't the same as okay, damn you.
Yeah.
To be fair, Star Wars ramped up a lot for their expansion, just not near as much as Guild Wars did, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There was a fair amount of hype ahead of the WildStar free-to-play. There must have been more. I'm sure there was more.
I'm honestly, I'm not even making a joke. I was like, Star Wars had an expansion?
Yeah.
Destiny. Did Destiny do anything this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taken King expansion, yeah.
It was pretty good.
But Destiny floats on its hype for a long time now.
It's still floating off that PAX 2014 panel. Whoo! The one panel that has now forevermore entrenched the MMO Reporter panel rating system as how many Destinies it was. The more Destiny panels it was, the worse it was. Yeah.
To be fair, Destiny did a lot to clean up, and their gaming mechanics were solid from the get-go. It's just everything else that was missing.
I have played Destiny in the past few weeks, and I can plan on playing over the break. Okay, let's get going, though, on 2014's predictions. Bill, what was your prediction for 2015's big winner?
I honestly thought deep down in my soul that Landmark was just going to explode.
Aw.
You know what, Bill?
It's going to be one of those shows.
Yeah.
It's apparently is. So no, Landmark barely moved the needle this year. It doesn't even look good for the future at this point. I wonder if it's even going to keep going. We'll talk about this more later in the show, but
Yeah.
no, that was a swing and a miss.
Well, because it didn't launch. It's still in development, right?
I mean, it's around, but nobody cares. To me, that's the big fail.
You know what?
Very few people care.
I see a lot of chatter on Twitter about Landmark, but
Well, if you look for it.
it was not a big winner. It was not a big winner. So there you go. Sorry, no points for you. I said big winners in 2015 would be Star Citizen and Trove. I don't know. I'm going to leave it to you guys there. I do think Trove is an indie hit. I think it's doing very well. And Star Citizen, well, yeah, I still don't know. It's rich. They're doing well money-wise. So
See,
does that make it a big winner?
It's a tricky category this year because there's so few big winners this year.
Mhm.
And like the big winner, well, anyway, I won't spoil it later in the show, but I mean, Star Citizen clearly is not a winner this year. It's still not even in a state that even resembles done. They talk big. The hype train is a big winner for Star Citizen, I think. Speaking of hype trains,
Choo-choo, Star Citizen.
I would say Star Citizen currently is the Donald Trump of MMOs.
Oh,
It's got a lot of money, but
oh.
it doesn't do anything that's useful to anybody.
Are they going to start limiting which players can play the game now?
Yes.
Now they are.
ooh,
It's called the Harry Hole rule.
yeah.
I don't think you want to associate yourself with that, Harry.
And we wake up tomorrow morning and the Dutch are not
Oh,
allowed to
you
play
mean
Star
like that?
Citizen
No.
anymore.
Yeah.
I thought you meant
You
that they were
don't.
I
Yeah.
thought that they're going to exclude me from playing the game. That's what you meant. Like,
No,
I didn't mean that.
They're going to get the whole country for the actions of a very small number.
All right.
Anyway, sorry.
And Harry, what was your prediction?
Well, I was
hang
right,
on.
actually. Oh, sorry.
Back up a tick. I do want to give you at least a little bit of props for Trove. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say Trove knocked it out of the park or anything like that, but it certainly did better than I think most people expected. It's hung around. It was solid.
I think Trove's doing a lot better than Landmark right now.
Oh, no question.
It is. It's always busy when I go in there. Always busy.
Okay.
All right. And Harry, what was your?
I won this. I said the big winner would be Elite Dangerous, and I would say there's a lot to say for that. I mean, the game launched quite well. It's built up a solid following. They are in the midst of launching their expansion. They're keeping all the promises they've made so far to the players, and it's a fun game to play. I think this really is the best space sim out there. It is the only space sim out there, but of all those space sims, I think it's definitely the best one.
I have got a X55 Rhino hands on throttle and stick. I won't say hot ass again. HOTAS?
Could say
HOTAS?
HOTAS.
HOTAS? HOTAS? I've got sitting in its box right next to me for review that I'm dying to jump into Elite Dangerous. If I can pull myself away from Elite Dangerous on Xbox, to be honest, which is hard.
They also launched on Xbox, and it's running fine there.
Yeah,
it seems to be at home there, even though I
give you a point
can't,
completely for that.
I can't go back to the Xbox controller for Elite Dangerous. By the way, that's my only gripe with it. If I was able to hook up my Thrustmaster to the Xbox One, I would love to be playing it on the Xbox One.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you get the win there, but I think I got a little bit of points there, maybe a half point.
I would say, I agree.
Yeah.
That would be. I don't think Bill. I think Bill's in the minus category now. let's save that for later.
Okay, let's get on to our big fails of 2015. I said that there were lots of smaller games that have the potential to fill this category, but no one game stands out as waiting to fail. And I'm going to surprise a whole bunch of people here by saying I'm wrong. I do think there is one. Oh, I hate to say it because I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. But I do think there's one. I'm going to wait for you guys to talk, but I have one game that I think was the biggest fail of
Oh, boy.
2015.
So you're actually hedging your bets before with this.
No, it's not in the doc. I get no points. But yeah, so I get nothing for that.
The thing is, there was not even any hope to get points for that answer. It's not even mathematically possible.
Correct. So I did well. All right, Bill, what about you?
To be fair, my answer was only slightly riskier than Chris's. And I said Civilization Online would be a fantastic failure. And by virtue of the fact that I probably haven't thought about it since 2014, I'm going to go ahead and say that even the minor expectations that you had for Civilization Online completely fell to pieces.
Yeah.
Well, but to be fair, the game never launched in the West. It was never intended for the West. It was basically just they licensed the name for an Asian MMO. So to call that a big failure, I wouldn't say so because I don't even know. Maybe they're doing great in Asia.
Right now it says release date, closed beta in Korea.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's. I don't think you could talk about a failure about a game that hasn't even launched in Korea yet.
Failure to launch can be a failure.
The context,
Let's keep
that
private life out of this.
the context, though, Civ was in the news at the time as being a significant thing, and it was getting a little bit of traction, but eventually its traction just.
It was more like, haha, let's look at the trailer of the game that totally misses what Civilization is all about.
Yeah.
Let's move on to cat pictures.
All right. So, Harry,
Yeah.
your big failure, 2014
Well, again,
or 15.
Again, amazingly, I was correct because Star Citizen is still a big failure.
I don't know if it's a big fail. It hasn't launched, but it hasn't crashed and burned. And to me,
failure
that's
to
a
launch
fail.
is still failure to launch. Is still
But it is moving forward more so than Civilizations Online.
Actually, I would say Star Citizen has failed me. Let's put it that way. But I could see your point if you're saying it's not because financially they're doing great. But as we've said many times, as I've said in the podcast many times, they're in the business of getting pledges and not in the business of making a good game. And I call that a failure because that's something they've been called out on many times this year, and they still not produced anything that sways those fears.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna say now what I think have we? Or is that in the next part in review? We don't have a big fail in that review part, so I'm gonna say it right now. I think I hate to say it. I think WildStar.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Is probably the not through any lack of quality of the game, but when I go and I hope you guys understand how much this physically hurts me to talk about it like this. But when I go to the WildStar Reddit, I still browse the WildStar Reddit regularly. And the first stupid frickin' comment is still about fixing goddamn bugs in the game. That just, it infuriates me because the game is so much better than what they're letting it be. So anyways, that's my anger and rant. And I just,
See,
I thought that WildStar actually at least stayed even for the year. Like it started the year not well. It had a boost with free to play, and it's coming back down to earth. I don't think it fell on its face so much as it just kept doing what it was doing.
But I like playing that game so much that I think that if there weren't still stupid bugs everywhere, then it could have been this great free to play bonanza for it. And I don't think it was a big bonanza. I think it was an okay, now we might make back money in 5 or 6 years on the development of this incredibly expensive game.
Expectations managed.
It makes me sad, I guess.
I
want
to go to the scoring bit of this segment to move things along. I would say I can see your point that Star Citizen hasn't been a big fail yet, so I will give myself a half a point for not proving anything.
Very just, very good. Yeah.
I think Bill. I find it. This is just me. I find it difficult to call the game a failure if it isn't out of closed beta yet.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree
half
with
a point?
me?
I'm thinking zeros across the board. We're just all too optimistic.
You know what? I'll give Harry a half a point for Star Citizen. I do see his point that it really feels like it has switched to being a business of getting pledges rather than a business of making and selling a game.
All right, I can get on board with that.
Okay, but if you would have objected, Bill, I would have given myself 10 points.
Okay, let's move on to our listener predictions that they had for 2015. At Dibstaru on Twitter said there will be angst, predictions, trolling, shutdowns, layoffs, patches, but still no sandbox as good as Star Wars Galaxies.
There were a lot of sandboxes this year.
Yeah.
There were a lot of sandbox games. I compare Ark to Star Wars Galaxies.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Ark
so he's wrong.
Very early.
Minus point.
I think that if we're still talking about Ark this time next year, then I'd say that would be a minus point for Dibstaru.
You know what? I was listening. I forget which. It was a big. I was scrolling through my Sirius channels in my van, and it was some big show talking about the biggest YouTube videos, and Ark was on there as one of the biggest ones. So it's doing fairly well for a small development. Came out of a Kickstarter, didn't it, Layanor?
No.
No? Okay.
No, it just they just made it.
Yeah.
I don't know what company it was or whatever, but yeah, they were just they're funding it and then they're making it. There's no Kickstarter or anything for it. Real quick, you have a thing labeled in your van called Sirius Channels?
Sirius, as in the satellite radio.
Never mind.
Yeah. I'm going to skip around here for you following the show notes, Bill, and Harry, and Layanor. I'm going to drop to at
thing where Howard Stern
Andres. What's that?
Isn't that where Howard Stern is on the satellite thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I was just wondering.
At Anrez said, Wildstar will see a small resurgence. Camelot Unchained seems to see some buzz. WoW keeps above 9 million. For that one, you get that.
Camelot Unchained did get some buzz. I do see stories popping up once in a while, and people actually having this glimmer of recognition, and I don't think this game is completely under. I do see people who are interested in this.
And you could argue that WildStar did see a resurgence that just came, like I said, came back down to earth.
Yeah, they came off their high subscription horse and just joined the mud of free-to-play like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but I do think the winner of the listener predictions and winner of an MMO Reporter T-Cozy, still under development, we'll be launching the Kickstarter soon, is at Balterex, who says, think WoW has a heavy drop-off. Absolutely. Psycho repeats over and over. Yep. Oh yeah, and No Man's Sky happens and it's awesome. That part, no, but I think the WoW has a heavy drop-off. WoW, I was expecting a drop-off after Warlords, but not to the level that we got. What are we now, at 5 million or something? 5 point something million?
You say that like it's a low number.
The drop-off is lower than what it was before Warlords launched.
I agree, but still there are countries who have less people in them than World of Warcraft has subscribers.
Absolutely. But we're not talking about how many subscriptions WoW has. We're talking about the drop-off and the amount that they have dropped, which is to its lowest numbers since, before Wrath?
You know, when you're a subscription game and you lose half your subscribers...
It's a big deal.
I'd call that a drop-off.
Yeah.
Well, they have to be losing subscribers since you can pay for gold, or you can use gold in-game to play.
Well, it's
No, wait. If you can use gold to play, you're still a subscriber.
Yeah, they still count you in the subscriber numbers.
Of course, because you are a subscriber. If
Yeah.
you have a subscription, it's either you pay with money or you pay with gold, but it's still a subscription.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to what will eat up most of our time. Harry, why don't you start and let us know how accurate you were?
Okay, I said Elite Dangerous, check. Kerbal Space Program, check. EVE Online, no. PlanetSide 2, I've played for an hour. So,
Wow.
yeah, I had high hopes for that one, especially because the game came to PlayStation 4, and I thought that would be fun. I thought I would get into that. That would be what Dust 514, Dust
Yeah.
number something
Yeah.
would be actually like if it was done by a good team, and it might be, but I found it boring as hell.
Yeah.
So PlanetSide 2, no. EVE Online, I haven't touched the game forever. And I did play a lot of Elite and Kerbal. I spent many hours at least in Kerbal and almost as much in Elite Dangerous.
There you go.
So tell me, is that half a point because I got half right?
No, let's give you a point. Let's give you a full point. You got 2 games right. Bill, what about you?
Well, this was easy. I said Guild Wars 2 and
Yeah,
nothing
points.
else.
Yeah,
And
points.
that was about as accurate as you could possibly get.
I would say points.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think what I played. I played Elite significantly for a while, but haven't. Yeah, no, that was easy. Guild Wars 2. That's it.
There you go. I think you get a point for that. Yes.
I would say 2 almost because
Okay.
it was so on the nose.
There you go.
But I'm not going to do 2.
I know me. What can I say?
And I said WoW and Elite Dangerous. And
Where's that sad horn that you were you
Yeah.
tucked away there, Chris?
that one? Yeah, I don't think I hit the ball on either of those. I
You
get
didn't play
nothing.
much Elite?
So
I
what
played
was
some. I played some on a bunch on Xbox, but I don't think it. You know,
That
that's the thing.
counts.
This year has been so weird for me because I can't think of a game. Guild Wars 2 is probably the game I've spent the most time in, but I don't think of it as like my main game.
Didn't you play Neverwinter a lot too?
I played a lot of Neverwinter
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I did on Xbox. And I played some WildStar, some Rift, some this, some that, but it was really a game of some this and some that.
I agree with that. I had the same feeling about this year. This wasn't the year that you dive into something, except Guild Wars 2, which I actually, if I think about it, played more than I played Elite Dangerous. I played more Guild Wars 2 than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't a year for a big hook, a big addiction or something.
Yeah.
Not in MMOs this year, no.
The days of I had a stretch of 7 years of Lord of the Rings Online.
Yeah.
And that's over. I don't see myself getting into a game as much as I did then either. So
And you know, I think a big part of it for me was, my wife doesn't play as much anymore. And that was a big thing of what we did together, and we were in a game. She wasn't a game hopper. I was, right? So I'd do that one game. First it was Lotro, or DDO, then Lotro, then Rift, then WildStar. But now I game hop too much. Okay, let's go on. What games won't be released in 2015? And I said, are you ready for it? EverQuest next.
Dig, dig, ding.
Yay! Look at that. The crowd is applauding. Good job. I think I get some points for that.
1 point.
1.
That's a free throw.
Yeah. Bill.
I wisely and correctly predicted Camelot Unchained.
Good job, Bill. That's the applause you get.
Oh,
Ouch.
that sounds like a lynch mob.
Okay, here's a little more. There you go. All right, and Harry, what about you?
Wrong. I was unfortunately wrong. The game that I predicted it wouldn't be released is actually released. No, it isn't. Warhammer 40K.
There you go. So we all get points.
Yes.
That
So
almost
this
felt
was
too
a-
easy.
Basically a moot point.
Yep. Ha 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 ha. Okay, moving things along
I'm
here.
Dutch. I made a punny joke. I think I get credits for that.
Wow. So I'm moved. Harry. Moving on to the next bit here. Bill, what was your thought on the dominant element of MMOs in 2015?
Well, my prediction was that, and I kind of couched it by saying that it was that it was already happening, but that the indie MMO was kind of on the rise. And I referenced obviously Star Citizen. Star Citizen was the obvious answer, being developed in somebody's garage. It just happened to be somebody's $100 million garage. But No Man's Sky, and I think that's still bearing out. We're seeing Crowfall as a completely indie game that we're covering on the network here, that's getting a lot of traction. Camelot Unchained is still its own company and everything like that. So yeah, that was my prediction.
You said not including Star Citizen.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake.
Yeah, Star Citizen was the wild exception to the rule. Star Citizen is to Kickstarter as to what WoW is to every other MMO.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
All right, Harry, what about you?
I said science fiction would be more prevalent than fantasy. And I would say there would be more games with procedurally generated content. I'm not sure the science fiction really took off as much as I want to, because there weren't really many games or any games announced.
You know what? There's games that have like fantasy, like high fantasy with technology in it. Things like Skyforge.
I don't count that.
Ark is a kind of science fiction.
Yeah. I would say post-apocalyptic is science fiction as well.
Yeah.
But I would say high fantasy with technology is basically just steampunk fantasy. So that's not really science fiction.
All right. Procedurally generated content, I don't think in 2015, but I still think that's coming. Look at Crowfall, Landmark, EverQuest Next, stuff like that. I think we're looking...
I would say, no. So, yeah, that's my prediction. I'm giving myself a measly 5 points for that.
I said MMO-ish elements in non-MMO games, which Destiny is now. I think the community in Destiny itself is very clear at calling it an MMO. I don't know if I still do, but that term means so vague. That term is so vague now. But you are finding a lot more character development, consistent character, if not consistent world in a lot of other games, where progression and persistency in some sense is definitely a bigger part of gaming as a whole now.
I don't think that's a trend for 2015, to be quite honest. I think that's something that started when Call of Duty introduced the perk system. And I think that's something that we've been seeing for several years now. And Destiny, I don't know what definition you use, but it is an MMO. It is. It just is. It just is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of games that like it didn't seem like it was a big boost in that kind of that single player yet still persistent kind of thing, or multiplayer with just a touch of multiplayer that's somehow persistent. I'm not seeing that anything new and special in that.
All right, so okay, I'll take 10 points then.
Just 10?
Bill, what about you?
How many points? Oh, probably at least.
I was trying to get my points and move
4 or
along.
5.
All right, Bill, what was your dominant element of 2015? What did you think it was going to be?
Should I say it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, you started. Whoa, hold on. Wow, it's getting late. Okay, Harry, you've got all our points for that category?
I would say I had 0 points. I would say you had 0 points, and I think Bill actually has a point. For once.
First time on MMO Reporter.
Bill never has a point. Okay, question marks, things we can't quite put our fingers on. I think that I'm still curious. Like, there's just no triple A titles being announced. That's true. That was it. I think the closest that we might come to that was Crowfall, and even then, that's so indie. It's hard to call that a triple A, and it's not a traditional MMO. Skyforge might be close. Blade and Soul,
Shroud of the
Echo
Avatar?
of Soul.
There's nothing that I would put the AAA stamp on
Yeah.
that's new in 2015. And honestly, we'll talk about it in a bit, but I think there's a lot of question mark about it even happening in 2016.
This is, by the way, an odd category to score because the question is, what can't you put your finger on?
Yeah,
I'm
this
not
is
going to
not
say that. I'm not going to say that you are wrong if you said that you couldn't put your finger on something.
Okay,
Yeah, this is
then I will. I get 10
This
points.
is an exhibition category. There's no medals awarded here.
Ooh, very good, Bill.
Very nicely done. Very nicely done. All right. Bill? Harry?
No, let's let Bill talk.
Oh, sweet. The one I had was we were just kind of in the early paying attention phase to Black Desert, and it had the marks of like heavy duty graphics. It had a bit of a hype meter on it when it was announced last year, that because it was, I don't know, I don't even know why actually it had a hype meter, but it landed on every site. There was lots of people talking about it. I don't know. There was, the question to me was whether it would take off as a modern MMO in an arena that had a dearth of new games coming to it. I thought it might kind of win by default. Obviously, that hasn't happened yet because it hasn't come out yet. But yeah, I still have a hard time with Black Desert. I don't know what that's gonna do.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. Harry?
I couldn't put my finger on Landmark, and I still can't. Because it was a game that felt like a engine in search of a game, and my alarm is going off because it's 8 o'clock, and actually I should get up out of bed. I'm dreaming.
Are you podcasting in bed?
Diddly-doo.
Actually, if I'm not, but it feels like it. No, yeah, no, but I didn't think Landmark was something that the world was waiting for, and I still don't. And especially now that I don't even know the name of the studio anymore. What they've changed? What are they now?
Daybreak Games.
Daybreak. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Which is ironic because it's early in the morning for me. Yeah, but it's, and with John Smedley going away, I mean, I have very low expectations out of the studio currently, and I'm very worried about EverQuest Next.
I have less worry than you.
Yeah, but that's because you know people on the inside.
All right, Harry, let me know. Can you please let me know how much I won by?
Well, I would say, as we agreed, this is an exhibition match, so
right, but I mean the whole thing.
1 point.
Okay.
Oh,
so
the entire score.
All right, so you add this up here. I'll get the music ready for when you tell me how much I won by.
Adding music.
Okay. Do you need help?
Yeah. I need you to shut up so I can count.
Take off your shoes and socks. I'm ready, Harry. My body is ready. Come on, Harry. How much did I win by?
Well, you were, in a way, you are a winner.
Yay! I won! Yay! Sorry, you were saying?
As the biggest loser, you something.
Oh.
I can't believe this, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I'm completely honest here, and I'm completely impartial. But we have as third place is Chris with 2.5 points. We have our runner-up Bill with 4 points, and I can't believe it. It's amazing. I think everybody was shocked, but also kind of knew that this was going to happen. I won with 4.5 points.
I thought you were going to say I won with 430 points. Well done, Harry.
I actually did my job.
Bravo.
I had 4.5 points.
Well done,
So
Harry.
Good
job. Well done.
Bill hadn't given me that half point on question 2. It would have been a tie, but well, yeah.
I
There you
regret
go.
nothing.
All right.
I love that phrase.
Oh man, I didn't win. Okay.
Hey, you finished ahead of Layanor.
I did. So as we're going through here, just so you know, guys, I added a little bit of stuff in the in the show notes here. So if you want to jump down and add some stuff in the predictions for 2015 or 2016, that would be great. Please and thank you. I can't multitask. Sorry, I'm not that fantastic. All right, so let's talk about 2015 in review. Layanor, what surprised you the most about the MMO? What surprised the MMO market the most this year, in your opinion?
For me, it was you guys kind of talked about this earlier. It was the World of Warcraft expansion that came out and how it hit real big and then just kind of fell away as quickly as it got big. And for me personally, I was really surprised that you could actually pay gold to actually cover your subscription. I thought that was crazy. I never thought that they would do that in a million years. I don't think, however, I have to disagree with you guys. I don't think that Blizzard counts those as subscriptions because there's two things. It's one, you're making money, or two, you're not making money. I really doubt that they are counting those as subscriptions.
Yeah, but I do because it's an active subscription. Because otherwise, your subscription will go inactive, and then you will not be able to play the game.
Right.
So it counts as a subscription.
And the subscription
but
numbers
they're
are
not
what
making money on that.
but
They're
what-
not making money on that. So why would they count that?
because it's great PR. If they didn't count those, they might be at I think they're at 5.6 million. They might be at 4.9 million if they didn't count those, and 4.9 is way less than 5.6 when it comes to PR. It doesn't change their bottom line in any way whatsoever.
Exactly.
Releasing subscription numbers is not about a business decision, it's a PR decision. And so of course they're going to count any sort of active subscription that they possibly can.
To show that the game has a healthy population.
Yeah.
So it hasn't. I understand what you're saying. Internally, they'll probably make a separation between the two, but publicly they won't.
Well, they have to say this kind of publicly, don't they, though?
No.
No, they don't have to say. They have to say their income. They don't have to say their actual subscription stuff when Activision does their earnings reports and stuff like that. I don't think they have to give an actual number of subscriptions. They just have to give an income and stuff. They might do it as part of it, but even then, that's PR for their investors. All the investors care about is the money in the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
So. Okay, so that was your surprise to the MMO market. Bill, what about you?
I was kind of knocked flat when Daybreak went through its whole ownership change and split and everything like that, and just introducing so much question around what was one of the big AAA titles out there, one of the very few that's kind of on the landscape. And even now we're talking about it. EverQuest Next, it should be a AAA home run big hit when it launches, or it should have a major hype train. Everybody's wondering if it's actually going to get finished or happen now. So that kind of surprised me this year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that well, to the public, it came out of nowhere. A couple of little birdies in different parts of the industry, and actually no one from inside Daybreak or anything like that, but just from other companies. This is not the first inkling in the industry that Daybreak or SOE at that point and Sony were trying to part ways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's apparently been a long time coming and a surprise to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Harry, what about you? What was your big surprise?
Well, no major MMO launches. Nothing actually made big waves. There wasn't a next, I hate the term, but WoW killer at the horizon. There was nothing that's going to be the next big thing. The last next big thing we had was Elder Scrolls Online, which was 2014. And that definitely wasn't such a big deal. So I'm actually kind of pessimistic about the genre at the moment, because almost feels like it's the MMO as we know it is kind of a dying breed. There's nobody doing anything like that anymore.
It kind of feels like EverQuest Next is going to be the last big AAA game.
It's the
Well,
last
If it
hurrah, yeah.
happens.
If it happens.
but there's other games that have launched with as big and ambitious of plans as all those games at their launches this year. Echo of Soul, Skyforge. A lot of these are coming out of Asia and being westernized, but there are some. Skyforge came out of Russia, for example. There are some coming from other places as well. But there is no. I think you guys are right. There's no big North American European game that has launched.
There's no
And I
big
would-
IP. There's nothing that's really resonating with people saying, bang, this is a game that's happening. Get excited.
Right.
It's almost like when Titan was cancelled, that the industry as a whole lost faith in doing something as big as that.
Right. If
It's like
Blizzard
that-
wasn't going to do it, why should
Yeah.
anybody else?
I don't know that it was just. I mean, there were so many signals. I mean, the Star Wars going free to play, the lackluster success of Elder Scrolls, and that kind of thing. There's been nothing that's happened, I'd say, in the last 2 years for new games that said, "Hey, this is the industry to be in. This is the type of game that people want to play."
But
So-
I think that it's also because MOBAs have taken over the position. I think League of Legends has taken over World of Warcraft's position as the game the guys in suits want to have in their portfolio.
Right. And you know what? And I know lots of people love League of Legends, but I really wish that some of the more like I would rather have that game be Heroes of the Storm. Just because I really have had such bad experiences, and Heroes of the Storm is such a friendlier new player experience, and it's so much better at providing a good experience and a fun experience, no matter what your experience level is.
How many times did we say, "I wish that Lotro was more popular than WoW," or
Yeah,
Dark
well,
Age of Camelot
absolutely.
was more popular? I mean, that it just doesn't hold anywhere. The best game isn't always the most popular game.
Oh, absolutely.
And especially in the MMO scape.
And look at what WoW was, and look at talking about pug groups and LFG groups and dungeons way back when versus now in WoW, right? We'd say the same thing about WoW and the pugs and stuff like that as you do about the League of Legends community.
But
Way
it's
back
it's
then.
not just all about old men reminiscing things. It's
Get off my lawn.
exactly that too. But it's also League of Legends kind of resonated in a very big way. It's one of the biggest games out there, and that is what's motivating investors. It's the same what EverQuest did all those years ago when studios saw a game that not only sold once but every month all over again with the subscription.
Yeah.
And this and World of Warcraft happened and all that. And that's not a model that people look at anymore because the new success is a MOBA, and not because the motor isn't that it's a MOBA, but because it has a very fat bottom line. That's what driving investments, not
Yeah.
creativity, unfortunately, here.
Yeah. Okay. My big surprise for the year and something that I was incredibly saddened about was when Shadow Realms got canceled. A big product coming out of EA BioWare,
yeah.
a asynchronous PvP game with the persistence of an MMO. And I was really excited about it. It was our PAX 2014 game of the show. And it was canceled. Not surprisingly, I think early 2015, might have been late 2014, but I think it was early 2015. And that hit me because that was one of the games that I was looking forward to the most. Probably as much as I'm looking forward to Crowfall now.
February 9th, to be precise.
There you go. Thank you. So yeah, that made me sad.
Yeah.
I am curious, though. I mean, now that we've had obviously 10 months to kind of think about it and that, I wonder what those resources went to. Because obviously this is a game that had a fair amount of development beef behind it. And what from BioWare Austin replaced it?
Battlefront?
Or was that wasn't
Maybe.
Battlefront was DICE, not
Oh,
BioWare.
yeah.
Right. I saw a lot of the bones of Shadow Realms in the Dragon Age Inquisition multiplayer.
Oh, okay.
I saw a lot of that.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was just, and they were both, both coming out of the same studio. So I'm not surprised that there were some shared assets there and shared mechanics. All right. We got to keep things moving along here. Biggest story of the year, 2015. Let's start with Harry.
I was too busy messing up the document to actually pay attention. The biggest story of the year in MMOs. Well, for me, it was World of Warcraft losing so many subscriptions.
Yeah. That was a big story too. All right, Layanor, what about you?
Oh, hold on. Where's everything now?
Why did you take out the picture of the King Smurf that I actually put
There we
there?
go. I was actually, I think one of the biggest stories, well, I think the biggest story is that SOE got sold off. That
Yeah.
is, you know,
It's funny what our biggest
EverQuest-
surprise was our
EverQuest
biggest story
2,
too.
EverQuest
Mhm.
Next coming out. Those are still, even the older games are still huge games that are still getting expansions. And that all just got sold off. I mean, it's just like crazy. But by a company that we've never even heard of. And then they were renamed to Daybreak.
Yep.
And then, of course,
and then
Smedley.
going. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's crazy. I would have never have seen that at all.
Yeah. I agree with you on all points. Bill, what about you?
For me, it was the subscription drops for WildStar and Elder Scrolls and Guild Wars 2 going free to play. Like that's three more nails into the coffin of the subscription model. As far as I'm concerned, like I don't know how that's a tenable model anymore for anything except World of Warcraft, and even there, it's starting to show a couple cracks. So yeah, I don't know. To me, that's the big deal that we've got, that model is dying, and that's what carried that. I mean, that's how people identified MMOs for a lot of years. That you didn't, it wasn't an MMO unless it had a subscription.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Very surprising to see that happen. And surprised that really WildStar hung on as long as it did.
Aww.
I think the biggest story actually of the entire year was the amount of coverage that there was for Heart of Thorns, the size of that hype train as it flew through the cosmos with Colin Johansson at the helm. Either that or his face plastered on the front of it. And I just thought that was the biggest single amount of stories for any single topic was probably about the Heart of Thorns coverage around launch.
But was it though? I mean, I understand if you're interested in Heart of Thorns, it was something that
It was everywhere.
It was
it
everywhere.
wasn't really. It wasn't really. I mean,
Yes.
well, in the MMO community, yes. Outside, no. It did not make any waves in mainstream.
Well, it's a
gaming
good thing
press.
this is not Everything Else Reporter.
No,
It didn't
I'm
make
just
the
saying.
front page of the New York Times, obviously,
No,
but
but
it's relatively
even-
speaking, it was bleeding over into regular gaming news. Like it was on PC Gamer feeds. It was on Polygon and that kind of thing. Like it spread. It was in the consciousness of gaming, not just massively online gaming.
I just say it's not enough for such an amazing product that Heart of Thorns was.
All right, let's move things along. We don't want Harry to feel too bad that he's wrong. Favorite story of the year. I'm going to start off here. This is actually a Guild Wars 2 story, and we're not even Guild Wars Reporter, and I want to start talking about this as Harry fills in his spot for this particular topic that we're talking about. I want to talk my favorite story of 2015. And that is a story that actually came to my attention listening to Guild Wars Reporter and their interview with Kit the Traveler. Kit the Traveler is a player in Guild Wars 2 who has taken on the role that developers played in Guild Wars with I forget the name in Guild Wars, the Traveler, and has now taken on that role of being this storyteller, gift giver, and all-around interesting character in-game. And what really got me was both. It was mentioned on Guild Wars Reporter, and there was a Reddit post as well. And I've got a link in the show notes for all of you to go check it out. A conversation that Kit had with a young boy who was having some issues at school with bullying, and this was all back and forth in tells, and it was in character, and it wasn't silly, but it was complete like role playing and. I am not ashamed to say that I had to reach for a Kleenex at the end of reading it. Just basically approaching it in that, you know what? Be the best you can be. And there's nothing that I think a 12-year-old boy needs to hear more than that. And thanks, Bill, for grabbing it. It was Nicholas the Traveler in Guild Wars. I think that was my favorite story of the year. That's what I loved hearing about and loved reading about more than anything else in 2015. Mic dropped. Thank you. Bill, what was your favorite
for me,
story?
mine's not as touching, so sorry, but I was just through the roof when Heart of Thorns was announced and the whole hype train leading up to that and everything. I haven't been that excited about any game,
You don't
anything
say. I didn't know.
Well, really, since Guild Wars 2 launched, I think. And that's the thing. So we're now looking at Guild Wars 2 launched in 2013. So 2+ years, pushing 3 years on getting super excited about the launch of something.
Okay, do we really need to continue talking about this, or should we just say that Harry and Layanor also said Guild Wars 2?
Well, I said Guild Wars 2 because of the free-to-play.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
He's talking about your game, yet he's still wrong.
And I find it quite an achievement. So it's well done. No, but Guild Wars 2 was something. Well, I was so happy that they got so much right. I agree. There's always room for improvement, but the way they found to make progression interesting for me again, without pushing me into this treadmill of gear, for me that was the favorite, because that showed me that MMOs still had life in them. There are other ways of doing this than just doing what World of Warcraft and EverQuest did, and that made me very happy.
Well, I'm
Speaking
not
of
gonna
happy,
get into this again.
if you're not a Guild Wars 2 fan, you're not going to enjoy the rest of this show. Just let me tell you right
Hey,
now.
You know what? We're gonna move things around here a little bit. We do have our Game of the Year and Expansion of the Year discussion for 2015, but before we do that, I want to do our runner-up. Layanor, what was your runner-up for Game of the Year 2015?
My runner-up is Ark Survival Evolved. The game completely blindsided me. I didn't know what the heck it was. People were telling me that it was a new survival game, and when you think survival game, at least for this year, it was zombie games. And I'm kind of tired of that. And seeing this game, I was like, oh, they added dinosaurs. That's kind of neat. And then I kept seeing more and more of it just popping up. And finally, a friend of mine bought the game for me along with them so we could play together. And it was incredibly fun. It is a very cool game, mainly because there is a PvP and a PvE server. And there are a bunch of servers. So you can either have that living in a forest with dinosaurs all around you that you can tame and attack, or you can get into an environment where it's all war, along with being in this really bad environment of dinosaurs that want to kill you all the time. You can get into big, huge kin battles, like 80 on 80 battles, and your base could be completely destroyed, and you have to rebuild or just merge in with another, tribe. I think I'm saying kin. The game just completely blindsided me, and I think that it's going to do really, really good.
Looking at the trailer now, by the way, and it looks amazing. Does it look as good as it looks in the trailer on your PC, Layanor?
Not on my PC because my PC's older. It can handle, oh geez, I think it's a Titan card. It's pretty intense. My computer is pretty old, and I have to run it at some really low settings for me to play it, but it runs smooth. But that trailer, that was on a Titan card and something else, but that is in-game graphics.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks very good.
All right, Harry, your runner-up for Game of the Year 2015.
Yeah, and I just in advance just say how wrong Bill is because obviously the runner-up for Game of the Year is Elite Dangerous. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but the game actually did what it promised to do, and I had a lot of fun with it. And now they're in the middle of launching their expansion season. I've landed on a planet for the first time, which is something I wouldn't say it's life-changing, but it shows that this game is so alive and so much in development and actually is going to be that ultimate space sim that Star Citizen will never be. So for me,
I'm so happy to see your unbiased approach to these two games. It brings back my faith in journalism and games journalism, especially to see you approach these two games in such a emotion-free way.
Well, the difference is Frontier has paid me for. Wait, are we recording this? If Gamergate hears this, I'm gonna be so screwed. No, they didn't pay me.
Freudian slip, Harry. Freudian slip.
It wasn't the Freudian penis slip. Father, damn it. No, it's. I kind of like the game.
No,
I really enjoy it. And I've had some Oculus Rift adventures with it. It's just it's not perfect, but it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move things along. Bill, now, okay, no name calling when you talk about your runner-up, okay, Bill?
Well, I'm not that sensitive about it. I mean, Harry, it's. I understand that it can be difficult to be wrong so much and so hard, but very clearly the second best game of the year was Elite Dangerous. So
you lie.
It's. I mean, everything that Harry said, they've been consistent. They've been. I think the other thing too is it just feels very British. The game is understated. Their expectations are completely managed. They're not over-promising and under-delivering. They're hitting every milestone they said they would. There's still bugs. There's still imperfections in the game and everything like that. And what game doesn't have that? But relatively speaking, compared to most to all the other games, certainly any games that are still considered new, Elite just keeps delivering and keeps consistently getting better without any really major hiccups. I mean, they had several major updates this year. And like I said, the new expansion looks like it's going to be a pretty big deal. I still feel like it's a little bit on the pricey side. Like the expansion, I think we had the discussion about that you're paying a lot to keep going with the expansion season, but to me that's a very small grade. It's still the second best game of the year.
Very nice, very nice. My pick for runner-up for Game of the Year was Trove. I think it is actively in development. I think the developers iterate in an absolutely fantastic way for this type of game. Very much reminded of the way Minecraft came out and the constant iteration. It's a small team, but they're doing big things. And the biggest thing, whenever I jump in there, it's always hopping. It's always busy. And I can't say that for every other game that I play. So that is our runners-up for the Game of the Year. And Game of the Year 2015. I think,
We
okay.
thought about this a lot.
We
it was a very
have-
difficult discussion.
We have a history. Stupid freaking Final Fantasy 14 winning
Oh,
the
that game's
freaking.
awesome.
How
It is
often have
very-
you played Final Fantasy 14 last year, Harry? Thank you.
It wasn't the game
Layanor,
of
what about
last
you?
year.
Thank you.
It
Bill,
was
what
the year
about you?
before that.
Thank you. So my point stands. So we have a history of
point doesn't
contentious. We have a history of contentious. I'll mute your mics. Don't think I won't go Bill O'Reilly on you and mute your mic.
Because
Okay, mute his mic. Mute his mic. Mute his mic. No, sorry.
Yeah,
So
you can't win something. You're gonna mute mics. No. You are Bill O'Reilly. Go do your thing.
I think I'm gonna save myself for last because once again I'm flabbergasted by. Okay, whatever. Layanor, your choice. Game of the Year 2015.
So much build-up. Guild Wars 2.
Come on. Okay.
Bill,
Seriously, you're asking?
you have to say it.
I have
Bill,
to say it out loud for
say
it to be
it.
true. Guild Wars 2, and it's not even close.
Oh, that's what it stands for. I was
And Harry
That's what that
ANEC. I had no clue.
and
You
Harry.
Want to know mine? Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, you guys, you're not gonna believe this. Guild Wars 2.
Well, you know what? Okay, screw
Wars
this.
as well.
You know what? I pay for the hosting. I am going to decide what the Game of the Year 2015 is. I'm going to say, screw all of you. You could all just go to hell. And the Game of the Year for 2015,
It's Final Fantasy
Is
14. Yeah.
none other than Guild Wars 2.
Okay, we
Fine.
can all
You
put
know,
our
this-
knives down now.
Is the first year we've ever had a unanimous Game of the Year, if I remember correctly.
It should be on the box somewhere.
You know, and
Very small.
Report
we
for
talked about this before the show, and Game of the Year really for us is we thought about new Game of the Year or Game of the Year or what. This is the game that we think epitomizes what we'd like to see in MMOs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's the Game of the Year for us. And expansion of the year, guess what? Guild Wars 2. Yay, woo!
What's and all? Because nobody's saying, just to be sure, not even Bill and I are saying Guild Wars 2 is perfect. Well, okay, yeah, it is actually perfect. It's the perfect game. Go play it.
For me, I don't play that much of it. I actually play Lord of the Rings Online a lot more.
Infidel!
I play Secret World a whole lot more, and I'm playing Ark a whole lot more. I've only played Guild Wars 2 a couple of times, and it's not quite the game for me. You guys are gonna kill me for this. The combat feels really floaty, and for some reason, when you jump, your character feels really heavy. And both of those things together really don't match up with the way that I like to play. The feel of the character, it just feels really, really strange to me. But Guild Wars 2 is doing very impressive this year. It had the whole expansion. They dropped the subscription to go to free to play. It is doing really well.
Never had a sub. It was a buy
That's
to play.
right. It was buy to play. It's just really impressive. For me, it is Game of the Year.
All right.
I was at BlizzCon and I played for the first time in a long while a little bit of World of Warcraft for the Legion expansion, and the combat was so annoying because I kept double tapping to dodge,
Ha.
and WoW doesn't do dodge. WoW is you are rooted on the spot and you fire off your spells. Guild Wars 2 has ruined me for that. I can't go back to a stand still and rotate your spells type of game.
I never stand still when I'm playing WoW. Anyways,
Do you miss a lot?
no. All right, that is our 2015. We've got a few predictions for 2016 that we're going to talk about here. Let's get going here. What will be the dominant element in MMOs in 2016? Tech, setting, themes, business model, etc. I say it's going to be VR in MMOs. I think this is coming. Oculus Rift is going to be launching. The other one, Vive. What was it?
Yeah, 5.
HTC Vive, yeah.
Yeah, that's coming out. The Steam stuff, the Razer stuff, all this like VR stuff is coming out. It's going to be coming into MMOs, and when we finally start to see games that have that built in from the beginning, I think it's going to be a wonderful thing. I don't think we'll see that in 2016, but I definitely think we'll see more VR into MMOs. Harry, what about you?
I think buy-to-play is the new free-to-play, and I think that is the dominant thing. I don't think VR is there yet, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I agree with you about buy-to-play, but we'll talk about that in the next segment. Bill?
I think we're going to see space being a big thing. I think the big game, there's going to be a big trend in games next year for being set in space. You're going to see Elite Dangerous progress even further as you start to land on actual planets and maybe even get the FPS part of it in there. Star Citizen is going to happen. I think No Man's Sky is out there. I think it's inevitable that with the Star Wars movies relaunching, we're going to be seeing some new Star Wars thing that will land, whether it's the Old Republic doing another expansion or if there's going to be something else that kind of lands in that space. I think we're going to see it. So look to the stars, my friends.
So basically my prediction of last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you're right, because I really, really, really don't want to see any more fantasy games.
Yeah. I
think I'm getting acid flashbacks.
This is
I honestly do. I honestly do wish I could take it all back.
Yeah,
And not just
me too.
because I'm stranded in space.
This is the first thing I thought
We're
of.
both in space.
But that's a spoiler.
Yeah, you're worried about Portal 2 spoilers?
Yes.
Well, you're a moron. So, Layanor.
Thank you for that
You're welcome.
well-reasoned rebuttal.
I
think
have
since-
gone to the Harry Hall School of Debate.
Oh,
You're
yes.
wrong.
I think that we're not going to be seeing very many Western MMOs at all, except for some indie ones. And I think that the Asian games are going to be bigger here.
You're saying the
especially
Asians are coming?
with anime getting bigger every year. I think that we're going to have more and more Asian games, and I think that we're going to see them just blow up big.
Okay, I think we already see that coming with games coming to the West from Russia, Korea, and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think you're wrong. I don't know if you're right, but I know that you're not wrong.
Well, the fact that those games are coming here, those are undisputed. But if they are going to... There's always been a steady influx of Asian MMOs.
Mm-hmm.
It's not... But I maybe there's some gem in there that will finally be in space.
Okay.
One of them could be the WoW Killer. You never know.
Yeah, I think we need to say Guild Wars 2 Killer now. All right, question marks. What can't you put your finger on for 2016? Harry, start.
Well, first the difference is nobody wants Guild Wars 2 to die. But question marks.
People used to say that about WoW.
No.
Wow.
VR. Nobody
Hey.
really knows how to make a social or multiplayer VR experience at the moment. We are barely getting out of tech demo territory, and MMOs are far more complicated than a single player experience, and those are not done yet. I think after the first wave of VR games, we will see what the actual mistakes are that developers have made. And I don't see actual VR entering the MMO space for another 2 years, and probably even longer. Because companies aren't even... The only company that has actually said they're doing a VR MMO is Facebook.
Right.
Well, CCP was going to be doing some VR stuff, right?
Well, they're doing VR stuff, but they're not doing a VR MMO. They're doing Valkyrie, which is an amazing experience, and that shows that they're taking the medium
Aren't they
seriously.
the world leader in virtual reality experiences?
They are. They are.
According to their
Absolutely
own
are.
press release, yes, they are.
And if you can't trust a company press release, then what can you trust? I mean, that's where the news comes from.
No, it's
Just-
going to be interesting. I mean, there's still some basic stuff like wearing a VR headset. You can't see your keyboard. You can't see your peripherals. And just like you said, Harry, an MMO is a complex thing where maybe you might need 50 buttons or 70 buttons in order to do everything you need to do. And if you can't even just quickly glance down to see where your fingers are on the keyboard and that kind of thing, I could see that. Feels like a technical hurdle that needs to be overcome. And that's just one. It's a big one, but
what I'm now about to say will in 10 years' time, this will sound so adorably archaic. but if I'm reminded of when I saw a video game magazine in the 80s when the CD-ROM was just first announced, and the journalist said, "Well, don't expect everything to change that much, but you can imagine text adventures where the graphics are actual pictures because that's how much storage space we'll have on the CD." Yeah. So in that vein, I'm going to say now, if you're playing an MMO with a VR headset, how are you going to chat via typing? You can't see your keyboard. But those are very basic things that we need to figure out.
it is a
Virtual
basic
keyboard.
thing. That
Yeah.
is a problem today. 10 years from now, I'm sure that'll be solved and it'll
Yes.
be brilliant and elegant and everything like that. But today, that is an issue. That's just that someone's got to deal with that, and someone will.
All right, we got to keep things moving here. Layanor, your question mark.
Oh, buy to play. I don't see that being very important anymore. Because when you're buying something to play, it's usually you're going to play it after and you're going to play it as long as you like. But unfortunately, every buy to play game right now has a cash shop anyway.
Yeah. What's your point?
So why are we buying to pay to play when we're
Well,
just going
there-
to be spending money and the cash shop anyway? It should be free to play. We're spending $20 to $30 for something that would gaining access to this store that we can buy things on.
Well, that's called having your cake and eating it too, and that's what companies want.
Well, but I also think that having it buy to play takes a reliance off of the cash shop, and you don't have to integrate the cash shop so much into the game. I think Guild Wars 2 does a really, really great job. For example, sorry to help jump on Guild Wars 2 again here, but the gem shop is very out of the way. It's easy to get to, easy to spend money on, doesn't get in your face like the Lotro free-to-play cash shop and all that sort of stuff, which is, hey, look, spend money, buy now, spend money, look at new classes. What? You've got a subscription? Who cares? Let's pretend you don't, and put all these ads in your face.
But when Guild Wars 2 went from buy to play to basically opening up their doors, they didn't change their cash shop at all, did they?
No, but they're still where the new money is going to come in. They're not quote unquote losing any money. They're just opening it up on that. They've already recouped the investment that they need, and now with Heart of Thorns, they're recouping that investment that they need. So the money that they put out for the development of the game, they can get that through the buy to play of Heart of Thorns, and that takes care of that. And all the other stuff is for upkeep and continual maintenance of the game.
Well, I think the
That's
cash
my
shop
thought.
The cash shop in Guild Wars 2 makes a lot more money than we give him credit for, I think, because there are a lot of people who are completely obsessed by, for example, the minis and all that cosmetic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people also on forums and on Reddit talking about their mini collections, and that's something that they make money on. But it's a different kind of cash shop. I think that's the big difference between there are no limits in play. Yeah, sure, character slots, backspace. But it's not like content or experience gain is behind a paywall. That's the big difference between buy-to-play and free-to-play. Free-to-play usually puts up speed bumps in your progression. And that's the difference. Buy-to-play doesn't do that if it's done well.
It's not just about a
Well-
cash shop versus no cash shop, I think.
No,
And that's
exactly.
the thing. The question of going too far and having your cake and eating it too and that kind of thing, that will take care of itself. There's going to be a bit of a Darwinian response to that. I think if you're laying out a a full game price to get into the game, and then you're still having to pay consistently in order to progress in the game, that game's going to just end pretty soon because people aren't going to have patience for that anymore. You either need to get it free at the start or free or not have to pay again after you've got in. It's not going to work anymore where you get both.
Right.
Like World of Warcraft.
Yes. Okay, as for me, business models was my thought as well. I thought we'd all agree that free-to-play was going to rule the world, and I think buy-to-play is, as Harry said, the way things are going to go. Bill, what about you?
Just really quick, EverQuest Next, like we talked about earlier in the show, I have no idea if this is even a real game. I almost put into my prediction for 2016 that EverQuest Next is going to get canceled or that it's not going to happen. I won't go quite that far, but it just feels like it's on shaky ground.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I completely agree with you there, and I think the slowdown in news that's come out of it with the shake-up at Daybreak Games has not helped that feeling in the gaming community. Okay, what's going to eat up most of our time in 2016? Harry, what about you?
Based on past behavior, I would say Elite Dangerous and Guild Wars 2 will be my main MMO or multiplayer PC experiences for the coming months.
Not Eve?
No, I don't think so. I think Elite Dangerous has taken that place. And my PC is getting on a bit, and that means even though I can play many things very well, I noticed that I'm having more fun playing them on my PlayStation 4. So I think I will be moving slowly towards console experiences more and more in the next year. So I can't say that's a single game. It's more several console games will take up more time than my PC MMO time.
Yeah, I totally feel I'm right there with you. Layanor.
I'm going to be playing Ark a lot this year. It's survival, it's teamwork, it's chaotic, it's Pokemon, it's everything. I'm going to be doing
everything
that this year.
Everything killer.
Yeah. Harry, Layanor, sorry, Bill.
Yeah, just keep cycling through, Chris. You'll get there eventually.
Yeah, just keep calling out names.
It's like my kids. Although I do have that extra kid, damn it.
Yeah. This is easy. I will play Guild Wars 2. And I was going to try to get creative and plug some other things in here. But I know me. And that it's going to be Guild Wars 2.
Well, I have to say Crowfall is going to eat all of my time. I've been able to test. I have loved what I have done. And I want to live in that world. It's just I'm really, really enjoying that. So let's see how that works out next year. Dominant elements of MMOs in 2016. Harry.
I think the MMOs will decline as being a genre on itself. I mean, as I said before, I think, and as you've been alluding to, many games will incorporate persistent online world things. And just like RPG has become something that's been infused in almost every game we're playing, it's experience points, tech trees, I think the MMO genre will be basically consumed by other genres. And I'm kind of pessimistic that we will see games like World of Warcraft or Guild Wars 2 or Final Fantasy 14 as a big thing happening on itself.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sorry, I was reading Bill's notes in the show notes.
The dominating thing will be that MMOs will not be a dominating thing anymore.
I'm right there with you. I think that, although I think that I think it's going to expand rather than just die. I think it's going to be so vague though that it's going to cover so much.
Yeah, we're not going to see something with questing game 1 to 50, then rating game, gear up, expansion, rinse, repeat. Yeah. That's not going to happen anytime soon. So that's what I mean with an MMO, an archetypical MMO. I think that's done for now. But the industry is cyclical, and sickly. So maybe we'll see something like that in a couple of years. But right now, I don't think so.
It's funny because we just did this a couple topics ago. It tells you how tired we are. Thanks, Bill, for catching that. We're going to move along to our our listener predictions over on Slack. Flossin sent us a message. 2016, Lotro's going to announce War Goats. New 3-man called the One Pie. Hobbit has a nightmare where the goblins in the Greenfields have kidnapped the One Pie. Help the hobbits fight his way through the nightmare and rescue the One Pie. Reward the One Pie ring, which gives 10% crafting speed boost and 5% cooking crit. And Lotro adds Ents to Entmore's. Yes! Same restricts as Troll and Ranger. I do have to say, we recorded Lotro Reporter episode 300 last night, and Rick was saying that Aaron Campbell would do like drive-by, they're gonna love this Ent play at Rick's desk when they were developing that. So we were mentioned, Bill. We were mentioned, and yeah, they would totally, because it was for what, like 4 years before we handed off the show to Carrie and Layanor. It would be the joke and play every interview. It doesn't matter who we were talking to. Every interview, every discussion ended with when are we seeing Ent play? And then they'd be, except for that one party in Boston where Aaron was drunk and he let it slip it was coming. Yeah. Anyways, Fruit Juice has said WoW goes freemium, which kind of already is. Lotro finishes the main story of Lord of the Rings, starts to wrap up. Announcement of closure by December 31st, 2016. That's a big one. That's very interesting.
Depressing. I have to get playing because I want to toss the damn ring into the damn volcano, or at least see the cutscene.
And Harry returns to Lotro to play Bingo Boffin story arc blows up on podcast.
Oh, I want to see
the Bingo Boffin story arc?
Oh my gosh!
You'll see.
Oh my goodness!
Is this a quest that I have to find? Is this something I will run into, or is it something I have to look for?
Look for it. Episodic content. In Lotro.
Bingo Boffin story arc. And I will blow up in the podcast? Okay, challenge accepted, sir.
Yay! And Gump's gang, I'm consulting the Oracle to divine MMO Reporter predictions for 2015-16. Through the fog, I see 3 great MMO events. However, all is not clear, for only 2 will come true. Which 2? We will all get a little closer to Mordor and Lotro. Possible. MMO Bill will play Guild Wars 2. Plausible.
Confirmed, I would
Indie
say.
Project MMO. Indie MMO.
It's also plausible the sun will come up in the morning.
Yeah. Indie MMO Project Gorgon launches. WoW loses 5 million subscribers. Could it be the playable cows?
Yes.
If they lose 5 million subscribers, they're down to 1. This is one guy looking for group, trying to find a ring.
One guy in Stormwind. Hello.
Guys,
Hello.
anybody there?
Hello.
I want to do an Ixia.
Does anybody need a pally? No, wait. Hunter looking for group.
I was gonna say it's got to be a night elf hunter. It's probably
okay.
It's probably me actually.
Okay, wait. Yeah. Okay. How many of us? Our first character was a night elf hunter. My hands up. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Bill.
Nope.
What was it? Your first WoW
Tauren
character.
Hunter.
And you still haven't played WoW, have you, Layanor?
My first character was a blood elf paladin.
I'm not surprised you went blood elf at all in
Those
any
girls
way
are
whatsoever.
hot.
Yeah. Okay, big winner for 2016. What's going to meet the lofty expectations or exceed modest expectations? Bill. God, seriously, Bill. Just say it again. You have to say it out loud.
It's like a cult.
This is so easy. It's just Guild Wars 2. There's going to be, you know what?
We've talked about it. We've said it all. Move along.
Big revamps in World versus World. There's going to be a new story season. There's going to be it's going to be great.
I must say, Chris, I don't think we really should be ragging on Bill because let's put it this way. I'm gonna say Elite Dangerous. That's a game we haven't mentioned on this podcast before.
Shut up. Shut up, Harry.
Luckily, I'm the only
Shut up,
one.
Harry. No, you're not. I'm right there with you. I think big winner for 2016. I was thinking Star Citizen, but I did a little bit of research. I think it's going to be Elite Dangerous. And last but not least, Layanor, big winner of 2016.
It's going to be Ark. They are constantly updating the game every week. The game's going to be released next year, and it's going to be released on PlayStation and Xbox as well. It's going to be a huge game.
Is it actually going to consoles? That's an interesting development.
That makes it more likely that I'll play it.
For me too. Actually, that would make it a game. Especially if they keep the price tag at around $30. I'll definitely be on board.
All right, big loser for 2016. Harry. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, again, I'm a broken record. I think Star Citizen will go flat on its face on a product level. Money they got. I don't think the money is the issue. That's what they're doing with it, which is nothing. They're selling spaceships for a game that isn't playable. Damn it!
After that quiet interlude, we had to move Harry to the quiet padded cell. He will hopefully be joining us later. Layanor.
Steve, give him water.
No. Don't get Steve involved. He'll drown him. All of a sudden, Harry gets waterboarded in the padded
I was
room.
about to. I managed to break free because. Okay.
All right.
Waterboarding isn't a joke, people.
Layanor.
It's a way of life.
EverQuest Next. I don't think EverQuest Next is going to do well. Even if it comes out of the gate swinging, I think the boat is kind of past for big major MMOs right now. There's hardly anything coming out, and this is going to be one of the last ones, I think, for at least a while. So I think it's a little bit too late, and I don't think that it's going to do very well.
That makes me sad. Makes me very sad.
Game to be fantastic, and
so do I.
The blaze.
Bill, we have the same big loser for 2016. We've seen a lot of press about this game recently, especially. It's been hyped pretty big. The hype train, not Guild Wars 2 level, but it's pretty big. What is our big fail for 2016?
I don't see Black Desert Online doing anything. I think it winds up winning maybe some art recognition or awards or something like that, but I don't know. The game looks bad. Like, it looks pretty but bad.
I completely agree with you. I just worry that it's not going to get enough players to back its apparently very substantial development costs, and that is never a good thing for a game post-launch. All right, that is our show for 2015. You will not see us again until 2016. I do have something to say, though, before we go and end things off for 2016. Layanor will be moving on to greener pastures with a amazing success of his wonderful YouTube channel. Go check it out on YouTube, which is where, Layanor?
YouTube.com/Layanor.
Go check it out. He does some great Let's Play videos that you can go watch about a whole bunch of different games, and a whole bunch of other content that you'll be putting out. So I'm really sad to see you go, Layanor.
Oh, I'll be back. I got the keys for the front door, so
Change the locks.
That's what they said on Ultra Reporter.
You could come back. You could be Steve's intern.
That.
Getting coffee for Steve is actually the perfect position for you.
Yes, I think it fits your skill set very well.
Oh yeah, great. Thanks.
It's been an absolute pleasure podcasting with you. You came in when I needed some help. You were incredibly helpful. You learned ever so quickly about how to do this whole podcasting thing and have been a great asset to the network. So thank you very much, Layanor. You will be missed.
Well, thank you. You guys taught me a lot, so thank you very much. It was great.
Yeah, I have no idea how I can get Bill to get me my coffee now. Without it getting spit in my...
It'll be cold, let me tell you.
Cold day in hell before you get coffee from me.
Speaking of these two guys, hey, Harry, it's been a great 2015. It's always fun to have you on the show.
Yeah, sorry I wasn't on all the time, but I had some other things on my mind. But I hope to be back more often in 2016.
I hope that you are here more often as well. It would be fantastic. Bill, as always, an absolute pleasure with you. Recording with you.
Thank you. It's another year under our belt. It's just the slow passage of time. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Let's not end in the depressing notes.
Hippie.
Yeah, we're all another year older.
And wiser and more experienced.
That's better.
And we've got another year worth of stories to tell.
That we do. Hey, it's been a pleasure, guys. Thanks so much for coming out. Thanks to all of you for listening all year. Thanks to our patrons for supporting the network. Thanks for all of you for not skipping the YouTube ads. You're awesome. Thank you very much. I know you all watch all of the YouTube ads. And just thanks for being such an absolutely fantastic community. It's always fun to interact with you in all the different ways that we do. And I would not give this up for anything. You are an absolutely fantastic community to work with. So thanks so much. For all of you out there who have watched the show this week, thank you so much. Thanks for watching it on YouTube, downloading, etc. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, let us know what you thought. Your predictions, I almost said prescriptions, your predictions for 2016, what you thought of 2015, all of that stuff. We want to hear about it, so please let us know. Thank you so much for being so absolutely and utterly fantastic. We really appreciate you coming out all the time and supporting us. We hope that you enjoyed this show and that you enjoy the next show, but most importantly, we hope to see you in game.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at.
Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at MMOReporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOReporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.